everyone, welcome back to another episode of Curious About Kakuro. I've changed the display on the screen a little bit for these last few videos just to make things a little bit easier to see. And now we're up into the expert level puzzles. In such a short time we've come such a long way, but I will still be using exactly the same principles that I've shown you to put numbers on the board, to eliminate numbers and see if we can work through these expert level puzzles. And all I'm looking for now is if we happen to see anything that may give you an extra couple of tips or a couple of tricks that you can use in solving them. But by now I've given you all the basic theory, the charts that you've seen. The more you study them, the quicker that it'll become. But let's just get into this expert level 9 by 11, and we'll see if it shows anything that's a little bit different out of the ordinary. Let's just go through here now. 21. Okay, straight away here we can see 14, so I know that can't be 7. It's a couple of options in the pair. It can only be 5, 6, 8, 9. So this could only be 5, 6, 8, 9. 7, 15, 29 are now down here in 4 numbers. It can only be 5, 7, 8, 9. So the only number that can go in there is 5. So this now can only be 7, 8, 9. But in this one, it can only be 7 or 9. So this can only be 7, 9. This can be 7, 8, 9. This can be 7, 8, 9. So because we've established the 5, this has to be 2. We're now looking for 2 numbers that will add up to 13. Okay, let's carry on across here, 42, and there is 4 of them, so I can soon be able to work that one out. It'll be just all the numbers except one of them will be missing. We'll see if there's other numbers that can go in there first. 35. 4 can only be 1 or 3, but I know they're in there. It can't be 1 because you can't have 3 numbers adding up to 26, so that has to be the 3. This is the 1. Because it's the 3, then that brings 27 down to 24, which is the highest 3 number on, which can be 7, 8, and 9. So let's put them in here. 7, 8, 9. 7, 8, 9. This can only be 7, 8. It can't be 9 because you can't have 9, 0. But we've already got the 1 established, so it can't be 8. The only number can be 7 and 2, which means that cannot be 7, and this cannot be 7. Okay, 3 numbers here. Now they're going to be, 4 numbers adding up to 14. So I know it can't be 9 because 9 and 5 is 14. So that has to be the 8, which now means that this has to be the 9. And 8 and 6 is 14, which can only be 1, 2, and 3. Well, we've already got the 1 and 2 established here, so that has to be the 3. This can't be the 2, so this has to be the 1. And this has to be the 2. So because now we've established here this is 1, this has to be 3. Okay, we can take a few spin-offs off of here too now. We know this being 11 can only be 1, 2, 3, 5. We've already got the 2 established and the 3. So the only number that can go here is 1 or 5. So down here can only be 1, 3 or 5. In here it can only be the 5. Any number that's smaller than 4 is too high for 8 and 9 to go into. So now I know that is now 5. It's 21, 20, 19, 8, 17, 16. That can only be 7 and 9. 7 can't go in here, so that has to be the 9, and that is the 7. So because we've established 5, this has to be the 1, which means this has to be the 3. Okay, so there's a good little set of numbers here that we can go through. We can go through here knowing that because this is 9, this has to be 6, 8, 9. The only numbers that can go in there then are 6 or 8. This can only be 6 or 8. Or because we've established a 7 in the column that is 13, we know that now that's got to be 6 to add up to 13, which can only be 1, 2, 3. Well, we've already got 1 and 3, so that has to be the 2. So down here, it's got to be 1 and 3. We've already established the 3. So that's got to be the 1. So now we've got 1, 2, 3 in here. Okay, so we've got 3 numbers we can go to. Let's see if we can work out anything now. 1, 2, 3 is 6, that's 12, and 15, 6. Yep, okay. 1, 2, 3 is 6. 6 from 22 will leave 16. So the only numbers can be 7 and 9. We've already got the 9 here. So that has to be 7 and 9. Because we've now established the 9, that cannot be 9. This cannot be 9. And if that can't be 9, this cannot be 5. Okay, so we're looking at two numbers now to make up 35. So 7, 9 is 16, and 19, that's 20, 22, 32. We're looking for 13. So 6 and 7 is 13, so I know it can't be the 6. It has to be the 8 and the 5. Okay, so because that is 8, this now has to be the 6. Okay, I'm now looking at here, we subtract 5 from 28, that leaves us 23, which has got to be 6, 8 and 9, so I know that the 7 can't go there. I can eliminate that 7, so we're left with 9. This is the 7. Because this is 7, this has to be the 8, this can't be 7 or 8, so it's 9. And this one here cannot be 8. If that can't be 8, that cannot be 6. Okay, so we now realise that this has got to be 6, 8, 9. I've already got an 8 established, so that's got to be the 6, 8, 9 in order to make that as 28. So because this is 6, this now has to be the 5. And 5 means that this has to be 9 to make 14. So we're now looking at two numbers that add up to 12. So I know it can't be 1, 2, and it can't be 3. And it can't be 6. So if it can't be 1, 2, 3 or 6, there's very few numbers it can be. But let's get back to that a little bit later on. 9, 36, 9, 10. We're now looking at 26 in there, 8, 3. So I know that 11 has got to be 1, 2, 3, 5. 5 can't go in here. So this can only be 1 or 2. So now 1, 2, 3. This can only be the 5 because this has to be 5, 7, 8, 9. So because we've got that, this can only be 1 or 2 in here to be 5. If it's the 2, it's got to be 3. It can't be, so it's got to be 1 and 4, which make 1. This has to be the 2. Okay, so let's have a look in here now. 5, 7, 8, 9. So this can only be 7, 8. It can't be 9. This is 7, 8, 9. This is 7, 8, 9. Okay. If it's the 7 to make 9, it's got to be 2. So it can't be. It has to be 8 and 1. Which means that this cannot be. So it means that this one cannot be 8. And it means this one cannot be 8. If it's 9, that's got to be 2. We've already got a 2, so it can't be. That has to be the 7, making this the 9. Okay, so we'll be able to finish this off. 7 and 4 is 11. So 1, 2, 4 is 7. 14, 15, 16, 17 can only be 8 and 9. That has to be the 8. This is the 9. So there's only one number we're missing from here. 6 and 3 is 9, 10. 14, 22, 31. This has to be a 5. And going down here now, we know 29 can only be 5, 7, 8, 9. So this can, only number that can go is there is 7. This can't be 9, so it's got to be the 8. This has to be the 9. This is actually so far looking a simple one. There will be a few traps up here, though, I'll guarantee it. Okay, 7 and 1 is 8. 25 is now 24, which is 7, 8, 9. So this has to be 7. This has to be the 8. And this has to be the 9, making this the 1. Okay, let's work from here. So 8, 9, 17, 10, 7, 8, 9 is 24, 34, 44, 20 in 5, 12. Now, let's see if there's anything vertical it can bring in. Now, 10, 6. 6 can be 1, 2, 4, 5, but I know that the 1 cannot go in here. 44 in 8 squares is every number except the 1. So we're not looking in there 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But anyway, with the 6 on this side, it can only be, can't be 3, so it can only be 2, 4, and 5. So on this side, it can only be 1, 2, and 4. So 4 and 2 make 6, 2 and 4 make 6, 1 and 5 makes 6. Okay, 8. Okay, here's a good little trick we can see here in the 8. Knowing from what we've got in previous ones, one of these numbers here has to be a 1. 1 cannot go in this square because it's 4 is the smallest number that can go in 3 numbers. And if it's a 4, that would have to be an 8. So I know that a 1 cannot go there. Same thing here is that the smallest number that can go in there is a 3, because then that would make the top numbers here 6, 7, 8, and 9. So the only place in that column that a 1 can go, and it has to have a 1, is in that box there. So I know we haven't worked out the other numbers yet, but I know that that one has to be a 1. Okay, so let's carry on. That just may be a number that can is all that we need as a key to solve that area. 15 to 5 can only be 1, 2, 3, 4. So I know it can't be 1, so it can only be 2, 3, 4. So on this side, it's 1, 2, 3. So going in, 3 and 2 is 5, 2 and 3 is 5, 1 and 4 is 5. Now we can establish numbers here now because this can only be a 1 or a 3. I know being 44, it has to be the 3. Can't be 1. So 3 makes this the 1, which means now that this can't be 1. Oops, sorry. That can't be 1, so if that can't be 1, that can't be 4. We know that that can't be 3, so it has to be 2 and 3. 3 and 1 is 4, so this has to be 8. Okay, because this is 2, this cannot be 2. If that can't be 2, that cannot be 4. So let's get rid of that. Okay, so 8 and 7 is 15, so I know it can't be 1, 2, 3. So it can only be 4, 5, or 6. So 4, 5, 6 to make 7. So that can only be 1, 2, or 3 in this box. 1, 2, or 3. Okay. What can we go to now? 13, 12, 8, 9, 44, 2, 3, so 4. So these are the only numbers we can get left in there is 4, 5, and 6. I'll put them in 4, 5, 6. See if it helps on this side. Okay, so 13, now we've already established 1. We know that 2 numbers have to add up to 12. So I know it can't be 6. I can eliminate the 6. Now it helps us because we've now got the matching pair here, 4 and 5. This can't be 4 and 5. It has to be the 6. So 6 and 8 is 14. This has to be the 1. 1 means this is 2. 2 means this is 4. 4 means that this is 5. 5 and 1 is 6, and 7 is 13. So now we've established this whole bottom. Let's just see what this top can bring us up here. 7. So I know that, okay. We know that the smallest number that can go in here is 4. So it can really only be a 4 or a 5 because in this column, you can't have a 6. That's the only numbers that it can be in there. So we're now looking at numbers that will add up to 7. So if it's a 5, it's got to be a 2. But I know it's not the 5 because we can't have a 2 in there because then we'd be looking for 31 in 4. So that has to be the 4. So 4 and 1 is 5, and this has to be the 3. Now because it's 3, we're looking at 6, 7, 8, 9. So this can only be 6 or 7. This can only be 6 or 7. Because we've established the 4 here, that's 21, 29, 18, 7. This has to be the 8. 8 means that this has to be the 2. Okay. 6 means that this has to be 5 to get 11. We've already got the 5, so that has to be 7 and 4. Because it's 7, then this has to be 6. 6, 7, 8. This has to be 7 to add up to 15. So as you can see, we had to do a little bit of brain work, but on the whole, it works itself out as it is. And that is the expert level 9 by 11. I was going to look at doing the 9 by 17, but it's a little bit too small to see to go on the board. And as we said in the first place, it's exactly the same thing, but just there's no extra numbers in either row or column. It's just a bigger example of it. But okay, so we're now up to the level where we're solving expert level puzzles. There is not much more that I can show you of how to do these. All you need to do is try it yourself, a little bit of practice, and you'll just get quicker, more confident, and you'll be teaching people yourself in no time. Probably the next time that we do it, I'll do exactly the same with an expert level one in the same way, and then it will probably be the last time that we do one of these. But thanks for watching, and I'll see you probably next time for the last time. Thank you. Bye.